Hi, I'm Firas, and today I'm going to continue with another Dynamo lecture. If you remember last lecture, we've done this tower, and we had a couple of circles created, connected to a radius for each levels, top level and mid level and lower level, an extra two in between and one for the base, and we control also the height of this parametric tower by a floor height and the number of floors also, and we calculate the height, the overall heights, and then we generate the polygon, and then we hide the circles to keep the polygons, and then we generated a list, and then we divided a point around, and then we create vertical and horizontal NURB curves, and then we connect them to make a solid. That's the result. The whole thing, or the whole model here, is just a process to make a form, which is a very basic and really basic level in dealing with Dynamo to create a simple geometry. Even the division here, the horizontal and the vertical divisions, I used here an extra layer of divider, like a curve, by using this node curve.points, in order to divide that into groups of sub points, and then we generate lines on that, or nerves based on that. Now that's level, or that's tier of modeling in Dynamo, or in parametric modeling. It's just, we can call it like a form modeling. If you represent or try to reflect that back to Revit, you're not going to get really a useful or fast process. You need to go and export that into SAT, and then go to massing, and from massing, create mass in place, and then bring that mass in here and then works on it. But there is another way in dealing, and more like an automation process, to make Dynamo also clad for us immediately, and wrap that form that we made with an automatic adaptive component for a curtain wall based system. So as you can see, I'm starting in both. That's the previous file that I end up with in the previous lecture. So I'm just gonna go ahead here and save that, and I'm gonna call that a tower video one, or tower whatever, tower cladding. And that's the first thing to be dealt with. Sorry, that's the second thing actually. The first thing is how you make the model. The second thing, I'm going to show you now how to make a clad, and the third layer is how to make skin, and the fourth layer is how to make a subdivision. So let's go ahead and let's call that second phase, or phase 2 actually, which is a cladding, while this one is phase 1, which is just a forming. So let's save. And I'm gonna jump to Revit also and save that project, and I'm gonna call that also a tower phase 2 cladding, yeah, like that, same. All right, so I'm gonna save this, and now don't forget the unit is in meter. It's a metric meter. In case you forget, you can go ahead back and revise the previous tutorial that I made. And as as you might notice that, as I said, that those lines are just for us. If you are actually interested in working in this phase of, if you're happy with this phase of end up work or end up result, but if you need to make an actual division, probably you might need to turn off those. They are just not required in that. So I'm gonna start from here, which is the solid by loft, or cross sections that I have. And as you can see here, it's very basic tower shape here. All I'm gonna do is just turn that back. That's my end up result. I'm gonna depend on that. So in order to get that form here as a geometry, and in order to get the faces out of it, so I'm gonna go Topology.Faces, and that's allow me to get the faces of any geometry is being actually made, and that's actually coordinating with the tower existed in the Revit platform itself. So I'm gonna connect that, and again I will add Faces.Surface and Faces.Surface here by a geometry that will take, or that will change the faces which has been actually in Revit. It will create the surfaces which is the equivalent for faces but in Dynamo. So you're telling, give me the faces out of the Revit, sorry, give me the surfaces to Dynamo out of the Revit faces. So connect those together. Okay, don't forget this to take from the 3D of Revit the faces, this one to generate surfaces for Dynamo out of that, and then you can easily go and let's actually run that. So now if I open this and open that, is there anything in Revit? Yep, that's what we got on Revit. We not really interested in it right now. So what's happening here? That's the solid, and again it have face number 1, so it should be here, face number 2, and then the second face. So there is 3 phases actually, or 3 phases here actually here created, and from those 3 probably it's good idea to turn those back on. So now we get those. Let me run that. Yep. So if I have a look at, that's the solid, and the resulted is this. So those are the faces 1, 2, and 3. So if I want to take out of those phases, see, that's phase number 1, which is the one beneath here, this one, and the phase surface number 2, and again that surface is here up. Probably I need to turn off this guy. Wouldn't it be better? Is it helping? Not really. So turn off this one. So yeah, that's better. So that's 0, surface number 0. This guy, surface number 1, which I don't want them. I don't want to add cladding to that. That would be slabs. So I need surface number 2. Beautiful. So that's what I want. So 0 no, and 1 no. So we need 2. So that's what this means. So just click again on it, so you deselect it. You probably need to turn off this as a preview so it doesn't get in the middle of having too much faces above each other. Now the best way is to get rid of the faces, sorry, the surfaces now, because now we are dealing with Dynamo geometry, not faces, which is Revit geometry. Anyway, so you're gonna drop 2 of those faces. So you're gonna go List.DropItem. So yep, so I'm gonna connect that, and probably I needed to drop 2, which is the first one and the second one. So let's connect and let's run. And then we just hover above this and connect, and technically that's what we have. So it dropped 2, which is this one, and left us with the last one. I know it's confusing. It's probably, you know, I think it's that one. It's probably, it's actually dropping the first 2. So that's what you got, which is this. So now right click on that and probably need to preview off that, or turn off the preview for it. So now all what you got is this, which is, you know, the shell that you're gonna clad, which represent all the walls in the tower. You don't need to make any cladding for the slab, remember this. Okay, now the magic, you need to use something called Panel.PanelQuad one, which is this one. that guy is an extra node. You will get it when you install the LaunchBox here. So if you didn't have it, and you shouldn't have it actually, if you just run that, you go to packages here, and then you go search for a package, and then you install it, and it's a free. And remember that I'm using Revit and Revit 2019, and I'm using the Dynamo within it. And I highly advise you to install Revit 2019. Otherwise, if you need to install or work on the previous versions of Revit, you need to install the suitable LaunchBox for it, and it's a little bit of headache, I know. So you actually need that. Just go ahead and install 2019, or just find a suitable package when you run the package here. Just try to see which one is actually, which LaunchBox I mean. You need to install that suitable for the version of Revit that you have. Now, all those surfaces need to be connected to this guy. This node will dynamically or immediately find for us, or divide that tower, or that surface for us into panels. And instead of what we actually have here, which is just an imaginary things that we have from here that I just turned it on and off, as if you remember, into a real panels. So the real panels need a U and a V. So how much the iteration will goes in an X and in a Y, or in a U or a V. So let's go like 10 here, and I'm gonna just another double click and have another 10. Let's just go for a trial first. Just go and connect those here. Run that thing again. It might take some time, and don't go crazy with those numbers. The highest you go, you know, like the more time it needs. So if I go back here, you can see that it's actually started to divide, you know, that geometry that we have into panels, okay? And it's nothing to clad with. It's just a division process. And so far, it's not really enough, but I can consider it successfully. So it's successful actually. So just go ahead and open that to see what you got. So probably if I off this from the preview and then select. So what's actually happening? Probably I need to turn off again those. A little bit also confusing. So what happens here, it's already been dividing the geometry into 10 by 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 10 around. Beautiful. So you see what's this beautiful node did, or actually does. It's giving you a list, or a nested list. So this guy is all of them, actually have all of them surfaces. And that will represent the cladding, you know, a surface of the clad panel itself. And that's if I close it here, the first list here. See the next one, it's actually another nested list that have 4 points, which represent the points required to generate that face or that surface actually inside. We're still talking inside Revit Dynamo actually. So it's a little bit confusing. So if I close all those, remember that what you got, it's panels, which is those as surfaces, and those vertex or points that you are actually need to create them. So you have those again surfaces and those points. So for me on that level, I need to make sure that those are well defined as surfaces. So I will deal, or actually I need to get only those, which is the first index here, or the first item here. So I need here to add, or to tell Dynamo that I need only the first one. So I'm gonna go to List.GetItemAtIndex, and now I need, again, No. I need this one, and I need the first on the index number 0. Let's run that again. I highly recommended this to run on to be kept on manual. So now open that, and you're gonna be fine and be very happy that all what you've got here are just the surfaces, and you just picked up out of those, which is the first index, which is, we call it here index 0. And again, remember that 0 is actually considered the first. It's the number 1 here is the second. Try to get used with this type of way of numbering that we have in Dynamo. Now, probably you might need to flatten a little bit of an extra. Flatten that. Yep. So I'll just flatten that list again, and I will add a list unique items to it. And after, I'll probably need to generate or to define the surfaces, or actually to get the perimeter curves out of that. So Revit will need an actual curves, the lines out of those surfaces. So I'm going to connect that surface, and Revit should create for us those lines. So let's run that, and in order to see, now Revit knows that this is line, and that's the line, and that's a line, and that's the line, out of those faces that it's actually been previously generated in Dynamo itself. And even here you can see the actual panels curved lines. So probably you need to add another list unique to it before we get out of this. Now, we know the points, we know the panels. You can go ahead and change a little bit if you don't like. Probably it's not really really curved enough. So I'll go to U, probably I'll make them 15, run that thing again. And remember, the higher the number you go with, the slower the process, and usually it's going to be really painful. In order to get really nice curvature, you might go for more and more here, and that goes slower and slower per any click you extra add. And you might take like sometimes even an hours if you really need to get the exact shape. Because as you see now, it's not really what we was having before, but I'm just doing this because the machine will be really slow if I go for the thing that I really dream with. So probably I'll go 20 here. Let me risk that, praying that that doesn't ruin the whole thing. It is look like yep. Yep, but it's all worth the risk. You can see it's a bit more here as the curvature getting slightly better. Anyway, I will leave that for you to dangerously explore by yourself, and be patient. Even if it takes an hour or such, don't shut down. Even if it tells you like it did a couple of seconds ago, it's not responding. Don't really shut it down. Just be patient, and don't go really goes with the happy trigger and add more number to that, or more segments actually. So now what we need to add the adaptive component. So I'm gonna go adaptive, and it's adaptive component actually. So for some reason I can't find anything. Yeah, this one. So now this guy, it needs two things. It needs points. Don't get confused what you really been doing a couple of minutes. All that to define the curves for the panel. But this guy needs points. So you need to go back here. You remember you was working with the panels. You defined them well. Thank you. Now go to points and connect. Now we need a family type. So you go and do whatever I tell you as a reverse engineering. You reverse it, that's the family type, and guess what? You probably have nothing, so it's okay. Go back into Revit and go File, New, and the family here. And what we're gonna do, I'm gonna go back, use English, more metric. I'm gonna use metric curtain panel system, which is this guy. I'm gonna select it and select that guy again. Extruded. Here, select that, and I don't know, let's make it more parametric. So select that thing, oops, select that thing, and then change it into a permanent dimension, and then let's go height, and its type, so it's gonna change for all. Probably you need to flex this or test it. Let's go height of the glass, maybe 10 mil, and apply that, working perfectly. A couple of clicks and then apply a material for it. So let's go and add a glass probably to it. Now I'll zoom in and I'll add a point here, and then I will set that here like such, and then I'm gonna go and create a rectangle here, four-sided, and such a thing. Okay, so we got this rectangle and it's fixed to 100 mil. If you want to make that parametric, you can just add here a dimension and then change it into a parameter. Anyway, too lazy to do that, so click those two things and then generate the nothing. What happened here? Like this guy, and then select, yep, and then go create a solid. Yep, so that's my frame and that's my glass panel. Now I will save that, so I will file and save as, and here I'm gonna go call it adaptive component, and now load it into the project, so it's been ready to be used here in the still conceptual or Dynamo tower that we have in here. Now back to Dynamo. Now connect those things, and from the drop down you're gonna find something that you just create. That's the adaptive component family. That's just selected, and just go happy and run. And again, it's gonna take time, and don't give up on the machine. As I told you, it might need some time. Even if it said here not responding, stop clicking and just be patient. See, lots of my students usually jump from here to here, here to here, or try to, you know, do anything else in the machine. Just leave it alone for a couple of minutes or hours. That depends on how fast your machine and how much crazy number you made. Anyway, so zoom in. You can see now that you have a physical adaptive component changed, and that's the panel with the glass. Probably you might need to, I'll just save that because it's still displaying both Dynamo geometry. I'll save that too. You're just saving Dynamo and you're just saving the, you know, the Dynamo geometry and the Revit geometry at the same time. So I'm just gonna close everything that I got and then open it again without running Dynamo. That's what I'm doing. So see, that's the panels themselves. That's what I want. There is no this orange Dynamo geometry. See, that's my Dynamo, that's my panels, and they are beautifully sitting, as you can see. Probably you need to go and increase the thickness or make that frame parametric, actually the width, or even much more crazy thing to be done is to go to Dynamo itself and increase the amount of here U and V's, probably you need 30 by 60 or 60 by 30, I don't know. Just go ahead and see how much your machine can take and how much time you need to do that. Yeah. Anyway, so that's it, or that's about it actually, that we made the second phase of this architectural way of using a better way of automation. Actually, the first phase was how to make a form in Dynamo. The second phase is how to clad that geometry automatically cladding with the use of Dynamo and adaptive component. I'm going to show you in the third phase how you're going to make an adaptive model, generic model, to make to make that wireframe without the panel, and different techniques also, not depending on clads, just making it as a skin, and we're going to call it phase 3. Anyway, I wish that you find that useful for you. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.